Why is the military getting woke?
Mr. Reagan.
All right, so you may be wondering, Chris, what is with the exotic location? Well, I'll tell you what, sitting around researching political issues, doing videos on those political issues, and then editing them is a very sedentary lifestyle, and I've gotten incredibly fat. So, Valeria and I came to Hawaii for a few weeks as a kind of recuperative measure. I'm trying to bicycle, I'm trying to hike, I'm trying to lift weights, and get a little bit better in shape like I used to be before I started doing this YouTube channel. That's also why it's been about a week since I've recorded a video, but if you go to my Mr. Pagan channel, there's a very profound and hilarious video there if you want to see something else, or you might find it just annoying and stupid depending on your perspective. But anyway, I got another video up on Mr. Pagan. Please subscribe to that channel. I need all the support I can get on that. I'm trying to build that channel up. I even had a leftist write a comment the other day that says, "I don't agree with your politics, but I love your sense of humor." And that's the whole point, isn't it, guys? That's the whole point of that channel. So it would be amazing if you could support me there, subscribe to that channel, give me a like, something like that. Okay, so why do I think the military is getting woke? All right, well, let's get into it in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something.
Now, over the past 4 years, we seldom heard the word inflation. But last month, the inflation rate in the US had the highest rise in 29 years. You heard that right, 29 years, 1992. And that's a problem for all of us with the price of food and gas and everything else going up. But it's terrible if you're planning on retiring soon. You need to put up an inflation dam to stop inflation from wiping out the value of your savings and your investments. And it's not too late. Noble Gold specializes in retirement planning and IRAs, so their team of experts, well, they're your first stop, and they make it incredibly easy to do so. Now, this month, they are offering a 1-ounce American Eagle solid silver proof coin with every IRA or 401k that you take out. And look at this box they give you. I mean, it's so nice. It's such a beautiful little thing, and then you get this little felt coin holder, and you open this beautiful thing up, and what do you got? Oh, yeah. This is honestly one of the best ones they've sent me. They've sent me several coins over the past couple of years to present to you guys, and I love this one. I love this one. Actually, Valeria is trying to buy a case for all the coins because she loves them as much as I do. We love these things. Beautiful. I love all kinds of American imagery. I love American history. So this kind of stuff, yeah, just a little touch of history sometimes, a little touch of Americana. I love it. So they're offering these solid silver proof coins with every IRA or 401k that's taken out. Now, not many people can relax when inflation is this high, but like thousands of others, with Noble Gold, you're going to be okay. Visit the website at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
You know, it's really weird. We've all been thinking about this. We've all seen the ads.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by 2 moms. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age.
You know, we've seen General Milley talking about this like he's some kind of moron.
On the issue of critical race theory, that was started at Harvard Law School years ago. What is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
And look, Milley is a brown-noser of the first degree. I mean, that guy knows how to, what do you call it in Russian, darling? Licking assholes? Yeah. In Russian, they don't say kiss ass, they say lick ass. So anyway, that's what General Milley is. He's an ass licker of the first degree. He knows exactly who to say, oh, you know, I'm on your side politically. You know, he's trying to maintain his position. He knows the Democrats are in charge. Of course, he's going to promote critical race theory and all this baloney. But this doesn't necessarily explain why it's being implemented in the military. I mean, obviously, if you take a bunch of tough military guys and you say, you know, you got to take this critical race theory class, and we got to talk to you about white rage and about how all black people are oppressed and stuff like that, you're obviously going to create division in the ranks. You're going to reduce morale A lot of people are going to leave the military, of course, because they're going to be disgusted with this stuff, because a lot of these military guys are Republicans, right? I mean, let's be perfectly blunt about it. They're conservative Republicans. They're good old boys. They have a sense of tradition. They have a sense of good traditional Christian values. And if you start pumping their brains full of this stuff, they're going to just become disgusted. They're going to leave. And that's what we're seeing.
One Marine told us that a military history training session was replaced with mandatory training on police brutality, white privilege, and systemic racism. He reported that several officers are now leaving his unit, citing that training. We're hearing reports of plummeting morale, growing mistrust between the races and sexes where none existed just 6 months ago, and unexpected retirements and separations based on these trainings alone.
Not just white soldiers, black soldiers as well, female soldiers.
One African-American officer disparagingly said, and I quote, "The Navy thinks my only value is as a black woman, and not the fact that she is a highly trained military specialist."
Soldiers of all stripes are leaving the military in droves because they're disgusted by this stuff. And this got me thinking, I think that's the point. I think that the reason that this stuff is being pushed in the military, in the CIA, in the FBI, probably the NSA as well, all these different agencies, all these different military branches, the reason that they're doing this, I think, is so they can eliminate the conservative element in the military. They realize, and of course this is a pipe dream, this is ridiculous, this is never going to happen. They're not going to get rid of the conservative element in the military. It's always going to be the dominant element in the military. But that's the idea. That's what they want to do. They want to create a military of soldiers who are loyal to leftist ideology. Now, we've even heard people in Washington, D.C. talking about this. They've said that they want to eliminate extremism from the military. Do you remember that?
Today, the Pentagon announced new initiatives and a new working group to counter extremism in the ranks.
The Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordering a service-wide stand-down for the next 60 days. The goal? Give military leaders the chance to address extremism in the ranks. This comes after the Pentagon was surprised to find veterans and active duty service members among the Capitol rioters last month.
People have been talking about the concern about white supremacists and militias, in the military for a long time.
Our purpose is to address a concern that has likely been around for decades and has either been dormant or simply ignored.
The military's 2 million active duty and reserve men and women were all recently ordered to pause their day jobs and stand down to admit they had a problem.
Never has this been more important than now as we face potential threats from within.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lloyd Austin.
In February, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin required every unit to discuss extremism in the ranks.
Views and conduct that run counter to everything that we believe in.
But what is extremism? What do they mean by extremism? What they really mean is people who are politically conservative. That's their vision of what extreme is in the military, right? That's what the code word is, right? Extremists. But why? Why does it matter? Why does it matter if our soldiers are conservative? Here's why I think they're doing it. I think that the Democrats know that they have done a lot of less than honest things, let's say, in recent days, months, maybe even years. They know that eventually they might get caught with some of the stuff that they're doing. Now think about it like this. Let's move away from planet Earth. Let's move away from reality. Let's go into the fantasy science fiction world of planet Turth. Okay, on this planet Turth, very similar to Earth, there was an election recently and somebody got elected by the name of Bo Jiden, right? And he beat out a prominent, what they would call on their planet, conservative politician by the name of Donaldus J. Trumpius. Right? Donaldus J. Trumpius was an amazing leader, but the Decepticrats on that planet, they wanted somebody else. They wanted to control things. And so they put in a feeble, absent-minded fool by the name of Bo Jiden. And they did this so that they could control him, right? This is obviously a fiction, nothing to do with our world. Our world doesn't have phony elections. Our world doesn't have fraud. That's not possible here. But in this fictional world, it is possible, and it has happened. And this guy, Bo Jiden, was fraudulently elected. Their entire federal government is fraudulent. This, of course, is in the country of the Unified States of America, up there in planet Turth. And so the trouble on planet Turth is that they know it's fraudulent, right? The people who committed the fraud up there on Turf, they realize that eventually the people are going to figure this out. And they're terrified, right? They've got this thing on Turf known as the Arizona audit, right? And it looks like that's about to produce some evidence to suggest that the Decepticrats cheated in their election up on the planet of Turf. So the question for the Decepticrats out there on that planet is, how do we maintain control of the populace, and after they've already figured out that we cheated them in their election, how do we do that? And it's a tricky question, right? It's a dangerous, volatile situation. There could be an instance on planet Turf, in the Unified States of America, there could be a situation in which the military itself plans and executes a coup d'etat, right? Takes out the government, because the government is fraudulent, and puts back in place the government of Donaldus J. Trumpius. And they would, of course, do that because Donaldus J. Trumpius, on the planet Turf, actually did win the election. He is the rightful executive of the Unified States of America. That's his position. You know, the people of America voted and he won, right? So this fraudulent government should be taken out. And it doesn't really matter if they leave willingly or the military up there on Turf takes them out. Now, the Decepticrats realize that a lot of conservative soldiers would be loyal to such a plan of removing a fraudulent dictator. And so that's why I think they're trying to purge the military of essentially white men with traditional values. But if they had an entirely loyal military filled with a bunch of woke leftist lunatics, right, teaching critical race theory, much like we teach here on Earth, well then in that case they wouldn't so much have to fear such a revolt. At least that's why they're doing it up there on planet Turf, because they're doing exactly the same thing there as they're doing here. So it's an interesting analog, you see. But, you know, that explains a lot. It explains a lot, because I don't think the Democrats are delusional about this. I think they realize that if you have a bunch of woke soldiers, they're probably not going to be as effective as a bunch of strong soldiers with traditional values that have loyalty to the Unified States of America and all this sort of thing. And the same thing here. The Democrats know that you're not going to have a good military if it's a bunch of pansies who believe in critical race theory. They know that they need the tough, strong-willed, loyal Americans that you get with a traditional military, which you get with, you know, conservative soldiers, people with traditional values. They know that. They totally know that. But they don't care, because it's more important that they have total loyalty from their military than they have a strong military. And so that's what I think's going on. All right, so those are my thoughts on the current situation in the military. Let me know in the comments below if you disagree with me. Look, I may be wrong about that, but given what I've talked about recently about the FBI controlling a lot of the stuff in the federal government, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense that the people in control, they want more and more control of everything. Because the way this whole system works, the way I see it working, is if you're the kind of person or group that realizes, okay, we're willing to do something that is totally unethical, that's totally illegal, in which, you know, a lot of people are going to be upset, we have to very tightly control every aspect of, you know, what's going on here. Every aspect of the government, every aspect of the private sector, every aspect of the lives of the people of our country. And the reason they have to control everything so tightly is because you will get people reacting in a severe way if they realize exactly what's going on. And so before people wake up, before people realize it, before people have the evidence they need to act, you have to have everything locked down. You have to have everything controlled perfectly. And if you have the military controlled, well, the military can't revolt. If you have the media controlled, well, the media can't report on you. If you have the politicians controlled, they have to vote the way you tell them to on certain bills or whatever. If you have the president controlled, well, you've got a lot of power there, don't you? And if you have social media controlled, well, you control the flow of information. And as we see, the White House is now controlling what Facebook is censoring, at least with regard to COVID, but probably with regard to a lot of other things. But that is going to be another video that I'm producing soon, so we'll get to that soon. All right, guys, well, that's it for me. Remember to check out my other channel, Mr. Pagan. A link will be in the description below. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant, it's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
This is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, therein lies the road to war. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery.